McKinnon of Parkside High School. This past year, I was the 2018-2019 Wicomico County Teacher of the Year. Here to announce our new semifinalists for Wicomico County are my Parkside cheerleaders, along with Rami.
From Bennett Middle, Katie Seaman. From Westside Primary, Jennifer Bales. From West Salisbury Elementary, Angel Wright.
From Hicksville Elementary and Middle, Cherie West.
From Willards Elementary, Stacy Phillips. From North Salisbury Elementary, Michael Auger. From Pinehurst Elementary, Jennifer Fitzgerald.
From Fruitland Primary, Erin Bailey.
From Westside Intermediate, Teresa DeLuisa. From Prince Street Elementary, Jessica Grimes. From Wicomico Middle, Kimberly McCarty.
From Ardella Middle and High, Corey Volts.
From Glen Avenue Elementary, Amanda Evans. From Beaver Run Elementary, Erica Johnson. From Delmar Elementary, Shane Morton.
From Choices Academy, Shannon Hinman.
From James M. Bennett High, Phil Portier. From Salisbury Middle, James McCroby. From Wicomico High, Melissa Shaw.
From East Salisbury Elementary, Matthew Snyder.
From Fruitland Intermediate, Stacy McGowan. From Pemberton Elementary, Melissa Kerner. From Charles H. Chipman Elementary, Catherine Miller.
From Northwestern Elementary, Joanne Evans.
Wait a second, I think we're missing one. Rami, do you have one? From Parkside High School, Miss Sherry Harshman.
I can't wait till March 28th when the next Teacher of the Year for Wicomico County is named. Good luck to all the semifinalists.
Well, we're with Wicomico Teacher of the Year, Lisa McKinnon. We're excited to find out who will be the next Wicomico Teacher of the Year. Just a few more days and we'll find out. While we wait, let's spend a little time with each of the Teacher of the Year semifinalists so we get to know them better.
I look back on my own education. I really struggled. As an elementary student, I hated school. It was so hard for me. I didn't want to go to school. I did everything I could to stay home. It just wasn't easy for me like it was for my older brother until 6th grade. And when I got to 6th grade, I had this wonderful teacher. Her name was Mrs. Georgia Peoples. And something changed that year. She believed in me. And it just made it so much easier. And that knowing someone believed in me, and I just look at her and I want to be like her. And I want my students to know that I believe in them. And that's exactly what I do in my classroom. And so when they tell me I can't do it, I tell them they can. And so we try to figure out how can they do it. And so I just look back and she's the reason that I am a teacher, because I want to be just like her.
I always wanted to be a teacher forever, and when I was in college I knew I wanted to go into elementary education, and I love the Chesapeake Bay. So I had an internship with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and I went out and I became an environmental educator with them after graduating from college. But before I graduated, when I was doing my student teaching, I just loved working with elementary school kids. And I went for the Chesapeake Bay Foundation after I graduated. I worked with them because my mom told me to go out and do something crazy like environmental education when I'm young and I don't have kids and a family or a husband. And I did it, and I absolutely loved it. I loved sharing my passion and my enthusiasm for the Bay with hundreds of students every single year. But as I went down that journey after a couple years, I missed having connections with kids and working with them and getting to know them more than just for 48 hours. So after several years doing environmental education, I decided to have a career change, and that's when I wanted to become a teacher. And I looked into being an elementary teacher here in Wicomico County, and there were no openings, and I got hired as an 8th grade science teacher, and I loved it, and I haven't looked back. I love my middle schoolers. They're so quirky and fun, and it's just an awesome experience, and I love influencing them and watching them grow, being able to loop with them for 3 years and watching them come in as 6th graders who are so shy and insecure, and then growing to 7th graders who are very quirky and crazy in a good way, and then moving on to 8th graders where they're little adults and you can talk to them and have like grown-up conversations with them. Is just awesome. So I've loved the transition going from knowing them for a little bit of time to a long time and being able to influence them over a long period of time.
My journey to becoming a teacher actually started when I was a child. I really struggled with learning new concepts, and it wasn't because I couldn't, it was that I didn't really find it relevant to me in my life. My parents didn't go to college, and they were working in the construction field, and I just assumed that I was going to follow in their footsteps. And when I reached high school, I had the opportunity to take this career class that was connected to my history class. And my teacher really connected with us and truly cared about what he was doing in that class. He talked to us about different career options. And suddenly I realized that even though my parents were in the carpentry field, it required all the sorts of things we were learning in school through mathematics, or whether it was reading a schematic to actually build a house. And so then it started connecting into other career options that are out there. And that teacher made such an impact on my life that I decided that I wanted to enter into teaching and make a difference in the life of a child the way my teacher made a difference in my life.
Probably from a teaching standpoint, the influence would be Miss Ann Stevenson, who taught at Y High for years, and she actually taught the pilot APUS history program, which I actually teach now. And she was a great influence, because at that time I knew I wanted to teach history, but I honestly thought I was going to follow the world path. And her course put me on a totally different trajectory. And you know, it was her passion for the subject and her knowledge that helped me to understand that's what I wanted to do. As far as work ethic, my mother was a teacher, and my grandmother always wanted us, no matter what we did, to go to school and to be educated. That was a big deal because she didn't get to finish high school. So that was just a big deal. And those are the 3 ladies I think of the most when I teach.
My students would say that I treat them the way that I would hope to be treated, that I treat them with respect and kindness, and I think they would say that I am very creative, and they love to see what's going to happen on my anchor charts because I love to draw, so that's always an awe moment for everyone. And I think lastly too, my students would say that I'm silly and funny, and I like to bring laughter into my classroom because there's so much on our plates, both at school and at home, and we have to remember that yeah, life is serious, but we need to find some laughter and joy wherever we can. So I always try to leave my students with some type of feeling of just being at peace and just happiness, basically, when they leave my room. So I think that's what they would say about me.
Well, I actually contemplated this question and thought, do I really want to answer it for them, or should I take the opportunity and have my assistant ask them when I wasn't in the room? I actually had a meeting yesterday. So yesterday, she took the opportunity to actually record what each of them had to say, and I teach 5- and 6-year-olds, so I figured they would be candid and honest. So the quotes that I received is that Mrs. Bales is nice, kind and different, although I'm not really sure what different means, but I'll take it. Helps us learn. She reads to us. She's the greatest teacher in the world. She's super sweet and nice. I like how nice she is. She's special. She is very helpful, and I like the way she reads books to us. She is the best. She is awesome. She is pretty. She is beautiful. I like how she teaches math problems. She's funny, she's helpful, and she really is the best teacher. So I thought I would take it directly out of the mouths of little ones.
My students would say that I'm honest, maybe sometimes too honest, but that I care about them and that I'm in their corner, and hope that they will succeed and do something they're passionate about when they're far past 3rd grade. I think they're comfortable enough that they tell me what they think, and they're honest with me, and they know I'll be honest with them. that's good. That's good. We can have open dialogue and no one's worried about hurt feelings. We say what we need to say and we all know that we're working towards the same goal.
My students would tell you that I'm the heart of Ram fam, that I am fiercely loyal to what it means to be a Parkside Ram. As an alumnus, the daughter of one of the original faculty members, and now a teacher there myself, I have a pride in our school and our students that goes beyond my classroom walls. It became really clear in my first couple years at Parkside that I shared a passion with a group of students and staff who thought that we could grow a better school community, that we could create a more positive and inclusive school culture. It started with a few simple social media posts, #RamFam, and that has really grown into what it means to be a Parkside Ram. I'm incredibly proud to have been an integral part of what has really refocused our school on becoming a place where we grow our strengths and we work to overcome our challenges. They would also tell you that I believe our greatest strength is the fact that we're committed to cultivating future leaders. We've taken #RamFam and turned it into a way to restructure our student leadership opportunities so that we can grow leaders who focus on kindness, compassion, unity, and loyalty. We're not only creating a better group of leaders, we're educating a populace that's going to want to be part of a solution. We know that greatness is a process, but we also know that the staff, students, and myself are also committed to that process.
I want students to feel that they can shape their environment and not just be shaped by their environment. I've had lots of great days, but I think that my best day has to do with the construction of James M. Bennett. James M. Bennett went in 3 phases of construction. We got to phase 3, and we had a county council and a county executive that was thinking of pulling funding, and were willing to pull funding for the final phase of construction. So this obviously upset some of our students. We in class did an analysis of capital improvement projects and looked at budgets, and they weighed the options of what would be best for the county, what would be best for the students, what's best to do with the money that's available. And they constructed arguments on whether we should continue with phase 3 for James M. Bennett or whether we should scrap it and go with the county executive and the county council's plan. They wanted to be active in their community. They sent out letters to their representatives at the county executive and the county council, and they drew enough attention by politically participating to get them to come to Bennett High. The county president of the county council and the county executive addressed the students. They were able to ask questions. They were informed about the project, and at the end of the day, they impacted their community. They saved phase 3 construction. They finished that, and now we have our fields and sports complex. And Bennett Middle was demolished, and the board is now over at Northgate and not at Bennett Middle School.
A couple years ago, we had a student who came to us with very minimal verbal communication skills, and it caused him to have some behaviors with aggression, and he wasn't able to tell us what he could do. But our wonderful speech therapist gave us the recommendation of giving him assistive technology. And once we gave him that tool, he was able to demonstrate that he was understanding letters, understanding letter sounds, had some word recognition. And we saw a decrease in the behaviors that we had been seeing. And there was a particular moment that I got to capture where he was reading a story, and he was using his device to find the words, but he was then using his own voice to actually read the story. And then I got to share that with his dad, and just to see the pure enjoyment in his dad's face and just how proud he was. Just to be a part of that was just amazing.
My best day as a teacher actually happened just this past summer. A former student of mine ran into me, and this student came to me my first year teaching with many obstacles and challenges that we had to overcome, and we did that together. And he just shared with me how well he's doing in school now and how much he enjoys school. And I just think that that's one of the biggest rewards as a teacher that you can receive.
My best day as a teacher actually occurred this year, and we were learning about division, and I had a student in my class that several people had told me would probably not grasp most of what I teach this year, and just to make sure that he was a part of the classroom, but you know, he would probably be leaving for a lot of the day. And so I'm teaching this lesson on division, and I walk by and he's raising his hand, smiling, so excited because he was following along. He knew everything that we were doing. He was giving us all the answers, and he was just absolutely amazing. He was smiling, so happy, and it just was contagious. The whole class got into it. We're so excited and we're so proud of him. So my best day of teaching was definitely that day, watching not only the student who struggled to not struggle, and then also to watch everybody come together as a community. It was just really amazing.
I hope that my students feel empowered and encouraged to become productive, resilient, courageous, healthy, lifelong learners. I hope they have the competence and the confidence to take on new challenges, new opportunities, and new situations. I want my students to believe in themselves. I want them to do the best that they can do. I want them to honor their bodies and trust their own wisdom. I hope that my students feel resilient, that they think critically, that they cooperate with their peers, they speak compassionately, and they develop a deeper sense of emotional intelligence. I hope that in my presence and at my school, that my students feel safe, they feel secure, respected, and validated. I want them to know that they are all special and unique, and that's worthy of celebration. We can all learn and do better with more empathy, more kindness, and more love.
I hope that my students leave their time with me feeling more confident, cared about, knowing that there are people that are advocating for them on their side, that there's a resource and a place to go if they get back to their home school and they're struggling or have a question. So it's really important to me to build relationships with my kids relatively quickly because I only have them for a short period of time. And so it's like the first day of school many times a year where you're just getting to know kids and you're learning about them and asking them questions, and you just spend a lot of time with that relationship building, and they leave and you care about them and love them like if you'd had them all year. So I just want them to know that I'm there for them.
I hope that my students know how important they are. I hope that my students realize that they matter, that they make a difference, and that they can be world changers someday. I try to teach them every day that their decisions today will affect their tomorrow, even though they're so young, but that's the time that we try to mold them. And I hope that along their journey, they remember to be kind and to build each other up and to not bring each other down, because that's really what our world needs right now, and we really need to remember to model compassion for them and model those things that we want them to become in the future.
I hope that my students feel comfortable every day in our classroom. I hope they feel they can be themselves, and I hope that they are happy, like I want them to actually be happy in class. I make sure if I notice a student comes in a bad mood or upset about something, I may not always be able to get to them immediately, but I at least let them know that I'll be back, I'll be there for you, and I just continue teaching, but then I always engage them as well because it's always on my mind how they're feeling in class. And I think they learn that pretty quickly about me, and they'll come to me with things, but then even if they're in a bad mood, they'll come in and they'll still do their work for me because they know at one point I'm going to come around, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to give them that quick moment to let them say whatever they have to say, and then we can move on.
I hope my students take advantage of a wide variety of educational experiences, both in the classroom and the world in general, and I really hope they take the tools we're giving them to meet the challenges in their future.
I hope that my students gain the responsibility of becoming independent leaders in our society. I think when they are 4 years old, because I teach pre-kindergarten, so they come in very scared and very timid. When they leave my classroom, I want them to feel confident, I want them to feel strong, and I want them to be able to do anything they put their mind to.
When I lead my students, my ultimate goal is that they make musical choices and decisions that reflect the teaching and a maturity in arts. And each year I see that in my students when they form ensembles and they go out into the community, or they go into the solo and ensemble festival. They choose their own music. They run their own practices. I listen in and help them. And then they go out and they perform on their own. And they do artful, wonderful performances, sharing their skills with a judge or with the public. And that, when they're doing that independent stuff, that is what really defines me as a teacher.
I could think of a few, but the one that really stands out is I was at a circus protest. Most of my students know I'm an environmentalist and animal rights activist, besides being an art teacher. And one of my students saw me out protesting and went in with the circus with his mom, but actually told his mom he wanted to be out with me because he remembers what I was talking about and the elephants and the animals in the circus and the project we did, a lesson based on animal rights. And it was nice. He stood out the whole time protesting, didn't see the circus, and was so happy. And I actually ended up giving one of my posters I made. So that was probably really touching.
I hope that my students are able to have a positive first year in a formal school setting. My students are the youngest in the county, so I hope I'm able to lay that academic foundation and just give them that positive first experience. A lot of my students come to me at the beginning of the year crying and upset that they have to leave their families, and a few weeks into the school year they're happy to come in, all smiles. And a lot of my students, they've never been to school at all, so I'm even teaching them the basics of school, such as learning how to raise your hand, walk in a line, even ask to go to the bathroom, which is a new experience for them. I hope to give them that positive first experience and just to get them to enjoy school.
I hope that my students know that I love and care about them, that I think about them even when I'm not teaching them. I think about them when I should probably be spending time thinking about my own flesh and blood children. And that I am always worried about them and wanting the best for them even when they're not part of my classroom any longer.
I hope that my students will leave my classroom not intimidated by math. When I was growing up, when I hit about middle school age, I was very intimidated by math. I had teachers that pretty much talked to the chalkboard and gave me questions, and I was really lost, and I didn't really know why we were doing what we needed to do in math. Even though I was on the right page, I just really didn't understand math too well. When I started teaching, I did not start teaching math, but then one year I was told I needed to teach math the following year. So I really worked hard to understand conceptually what's going on in math. So when I'm in my classroom now, I really understand math a whole lot better, and I just would like to help the kids who are struggling, because I know exactly what it feels like, and I try in the beginning of the year to figure out who those kids are so that I can really kind of hone in on them kind of quietly so that the other students don't know that I feel their pain. I can feel that they're frustrated with math, they don't really understand it, and so I really enjoy working with those students. And so I hope that when the kids walk out the door, they're liking math and they're understanding math and they get why we're doing what we're doing.
I hope that my students go home every night excited to tell their loved ones what they did in my class.
Representing West Salisbury, how did you feel to be named West Salisbury Teacher of the Year?
I am overjoyed, and it is truly an honor. And I've been there for 11 years now. So that's my only spot I've been. I've had one principal, Melba Wright, and it's been a wonderful journey. And now we're in a new school, so.
I hope that my students know that it's okay to make mistakes in life. I like to show them as a math teacher that it's important to look for your mistakes, to find where you're making your mistakes so that you can make those changes and look for those red flags so that you can fix those errors in the future. In the beginning of the school year, I always ask my students, where did you make your mistake in your problem? And no one wants to raise their hand and admit to their mistakes. And by about October, they realize it's okay to admit, and their hands fly up and they say, I want to share with you what I did wrong. I know where I made my mistake. And I love to see that their confidence is building by admitting that they've made a mistake, but they know know where they can change it in the future.
We hope you've enjoyed meeting this year's semifinalists for Teacher of the Year. We'll be back soon to introduce you to the new Wicomico Teacher of the Year. We'll also share with you then the Friend of Education Award winner and the new Rising Star Award winner for a second-year teacher. On behalf of the Teacher of the Year Committee and Wicomico County Public Schools, I'm Tracy Saylor. Thanks for watching.